So far we have something that's a little bit more organized than what we had last time, but it still looks ugly because all this code here doesn't look very well organized. But luckily we can move even further than this. Now look at what we are doing here. Really, there's no reason to do this from outside here because all the functions that we're accessing are inside this app anyway. So what we can do is move everything into the app. So I had to do this step by step, so at least to help you understand every step of the way. Hopefully that's working. So at this point we move everything here except for the app itself into the app. So I'm just going to, if you look here, this is a get variable, so we can really practically get this from anywhere we are because this get is global. And there's nothing else we need from here apart from the global variable. So we can easily just cut this and put it in the constructor because this runs first before anything else. So let's paste it in there like so. So I'm going to move these in here. So let's add a few changes. So let's remove the echo first of all for the pre-tags, and then everything else remains the same. We can unset that, do that, no problem. So this is all good. But if we come back here now, we have a problem because if is callable doesn't have what it needs, for example that table thing. So let's just move everything as well here. I will cut that function and let me save here and paste it right here like so. Okay, now since we're going to need the DB before we run this, I will have to move this to the very top like so. So for as long as I put it above the callable here, we are good to go, because then the callables will find the database already active when they need it. Okay, so let me move this in here like so. Good. So don't forget to add comments on each one of these, just in case you may forget what each part here is doing in future. So here we have a result which is equal to app. Now we can't call app from within itself. So instead, we're going to use the keyword this. So we'll say this. And then here we're going to use this as well, like so. So we replace app with this, which describes this very instance of this class. So I think this should work just fine. And so once this is run, we must return this result, because anything that is returned here from these functions will be put inside this. And unfortunately, actually, we cannot return a result from the constructor. This is an issue because the constructor is supposed to return an instance of itself. That is, oh, wait a second, what have I done? Okay, back to the index page. It will return an instance of itself because we are putting, when we say new app, we return an instance of app here. That's why this now becomes the new app. So that is an instance of this. So if we try to return something from in there, then it will be put in here instead of the instance, and that can't be great now, can it? So what we can do is, because we need a way to actually get the result here, okay? So now instead of wait a minute. So instead of calling these, since these guys oh, actually is callable. Wait a second here. Let me think about this. Okay, still need to figure out if this is callable, so I'm going to leave this here. So what we can do, one option is to add a public value here. So let's say public result. Okay, let's put the result to be equal to that, like so. Okay, so that's the default result. And so instead of just returning this, maybe we can leave it there. That's okay. So here I can say this result. So whatever the result we get, we're going to put it here. That way, when we come back to our index, we can echo it out here. So let's move result to the top here, set it to an empty, like so. Okay, maybe we don't even need this because the app will do that automatically for us, so this is okay. So all we need to do is just say result, not here but here, result is equal to app result, like this. Okay, just like that. Or what we can do is just skip this whole step and just say echo like this, app result, like that. Same thing. Okay, so from here to there, this is all the code we're going to have inside this index page. The rest of this has to move. So this if statement, for example, will have to be cut from here. So cut, duck, and then we go to the department and paste in here. Okay, so if ID, now ID should be equal to let's see here, ID should be the first item in here because it's the second item on the other side. So we're going to check and say ID, we want to give it a value. So we're going to say ID is equal to is set params 0, like that. If that is set, then we set it to params 0, copy and paste. Otherwise we set it to null. Okay, so at this point we have the ID that we want, and if it exists, then we'll run this thing here. If it doesn't, we're going to run this other thing here. And then what we do on this spot is that we get rid of this, because remember the result already has this default value, so no need for that anymore. I'm going to remove that as well, like this. Remove even this return here. It doesn't matter because regardless we're going to have to return to get whatever is in here, and if it remains unchanged it will be that. Okay, empty JSON, that's good. And here instead of echo, we don't need echo anymore, we do a return like that. Okay, so that's the return, and we should be good. So just with this, we should be able to get the result that we want. However, remember that DB is no longer available here, so every instance of DB must be referenced with this. Okay, so it's just these two, so Control D, and then move this and put this DB like that. This DB run. Hopefully that works. Okay, what else do we need to change here? It doesn't look like there's anything we need to change. So let's try and see if this will work. So if I do departments refresh, I do get the results that I wanted. This is awesomeness. Now what happens if I type something that doesn't exist here? I get the empty as usual. So back here, this is what I get. Nice. Now if I come back here and remove the header like so that we have a nice JSON header, if I refresh the page, you see that we're back to square one. The only advantage now is that we have nice clean URLs here. See that? Pretty awesome. And if I now decide to get this part as well, so let me copy all this, cut this, actually cut, and then all this now is practically useless, so I can delete it. Okay, so our code just ends up to here. That's it. We don't even need a closing PHP tag whatsoever. So we just create a new app and return the result of that app. So back to the app here, I can now come to this function and paste my code. I will need the same ID situation here, so I'll paste that like so. Okay, so we have our ID. Everything remains the same except DB, as usual, needs to be prefixed with this, like so. Everything else remains the same except we don't need the else statements as usual, and we don't need the return here either, and we need to change echo to return like that. So as you can see now, this becomes very easy because the next time you want to add a different table, all you have to do is duplicate one of these and just change the name to the whatever you want users to be typing in the URL in order to get to that particular table. It doesn't have to be the table name itself, no, because you can have a different function name and just query a very different table here at the end of it. So it doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to be the table name. It's you to decide what you want them to type in order to get a particular result. So back here again, let's see if now I add a 1 at the end, we will get just one result. So there we go, we do get one result. And let's see if we can get result number 10. So there is no result number 10. Maybe result. Now this is the issue here. We're supposed to still get JSON here, so we don't seem to be getting JSON data at all. So we need to see what the problem is there. Let me go number 8. There we go. Number 9. There we go. But number 10 isn't working. 10 minutes. 10. Okay, so it goes to Google for some reason. I don't know. What did I type here? 10. Good. Okay, so I get empty. That's all right. Let me try employees. So I get all this data of employees, quite a large amount of data. So it took some time to parse in the JSON, but then it's working. And then slash, let's try number 2. And there it is, it's working fine. Okay, good. So let's see what the problem is when we exceed the limit. So if I exceed the limit here and I tell it to return this data here, it doesn't work very well. So I guess I was wrong, yeah? We need to return something at least. If I don't return anything here, this result will be set to null, which becomes a problem. So it's not a big deal. All we do is just tell it to return this here. So copy that and let's come down here for a second. Right here, no else statement required. Let's just do a return. I forgot that there's no equal sign required. There we go. I forgot that if this is not an array, there's no return value because it will just come here and not return anything. And if it doesn't return anything, it's equal to returning no. So let's do that. let's do that, and let's do pretty much. Actually, this is pointless to do it like this. I'm wasting precious space. What I can do instead is this, because this is just an if statement, and once the if statements have run and there's nothing that is returned, it will still get to this point eventually. So I much rather put the return value down here at the very bottom. That way I only need to add one of them like this. Okay, so if we return something here, we'll never get here, but if we don't return anything, we'll have to return something here. Okay, so with this, I'm expecting to get some JSON even when I try to get a value that doesn't exist, like number 10. So let's try that. Good. So at least I still get some JSON, and row data is that. Headers, headers, JSON, JSON. Very, very nice. So far we have what we need here, and it's working pretty well. What we want is some credentials and some what's this, assigning API keys to your users, etc, etc. So many like to complain that my series are quite long, and I don't really understand that, because the longer a series is, the more you're going to learn at the end of the day. So I don't really get that, but I've seen complaints about that. So you can let me know in the comments if you want me to do API keys, or this is enough information for you. Then we can end the series by just uploading this online and getting it over with. Anyway, I will see you in the next video.